This Islamic Dad here. I'm going to make a video and I'll figure out the title later. But I want to do it on kind of the way narcissistic think as far as dealing with consequences as someone who does not have any empathy. And so, for example, I made the video about boundaries. And so the narcissist has no problem setting their boundaries. They're very real and they might even be acceptable ones that make sense to other people. And they understand that when they set these boundaries, other people should respect them. And that if they don't, that they should, could probably, face consequences. But when other people set boundaries with narcissists, it's like, okay, I don't care. And they just basically walk over whatever line is drawn in the sand. They'll happily dance right over it. They do not care. And so for the longest time I was really confused about a lot of why narcissists do the things that they do and kind of like what their motivation is and stuff. And then I kind of along the same veins as the video that I had made earlier called, spoilers. So it's like, how could someone be in a relationship with you, tell you to your face without blinking, with sincerity, I love you, and then do the most horrible, horrible, damaging things to you? And the answer is, they did not love you. They were lying. Sadly, it's that simple. And a lot of other things kind of make sense when you realize how damaged and basically inhuman narcissists are. And so, for example, with the setting boundaries with the narcissist, if you set a boundary with a narcissist, say, look, I don't want you to do this. It's damaging to me psychologically or emotionally. Don't do this. They'll say, okay, yeah, I completely understand. And then they will cross that line. They will disrespect that boundary and go dancing right over that line in the sand. And then you're left thinking like, okay, I'm confused. You did understand that boundary I set. You say that you love me. You said that you're going to respect me and stuff, and yet you did this. And it's just and again, it's like you're dealing with like these really messed up toddlers. They don't get, they don't think or feel like normal human beings. And so when you set a boundary with them, it's meaningless. It's just words. And I'm sure that in the narcissist's mind, like while they're hearing you set this boundary, they're thinking, what does this have to do with me? This has nothing, this does not benefit me at all. I don't find it entertaining. This has nothing to do with giving me attention or validation. It's just words. And so they're just waiting for you to stop, and then they can go back to talking about themselves. And so, with a boundary, and this is something, unfortunately, in life, I think, at least for me, I had to learn the hard ways that with normal people, you can set boundaries and they get it. With a narcissist, you have to set boundaries and then have a consequence. Sound familiar? Like you're dealing with a 3-year-old? Okay, little Tina, if you go in the kitchen and you steal a cookie out of the cookie jar, I'm going to put you in timeout for 5 minutes. And it's like, it's like, Jesus Christ. It's like you have to deal with an adult like they are a toddler with no moral compass. They're just this, just this little creature out for their self. So, and then if you set like a boundary with the consequence with the narcissist, depending on the narcissist, I would assume they would most likely ignore it, because narcissists are like, yeah, prove it. Talk's cheap, prove it to me. And so most likely you set a boundary, they will ignore it, even if you have a set of consequence. And then they will wait to see if you enforce the boundary and follow through with the consequence. At that time, if you follow through with the consequence, they'll probably be super pissed off and be like, oh, well, it was this and that, and transfer blame and all sorts of stuff. Make it that you're the bad guy and they're the hero. But in the end, that part clicks the same way it does with a 3-year-old. Oh, mommy and daddy were not lying. If I steal a cookie from the cookie jar, they will put me in timeout for 5 minutes. Okay, I really like cookies, but I'll just wait till mommy and daddy give me one. I'm not gonna steal one. And so this is the part, and this is where I was going with this. This is the crazy thing with like narcissists and how they think and interact with other people. And I noticed this pattern both with my ex-wife and my ex-girlfriend, is that if you talk to a normal person, you say, look, I don't want you to do XYZ. If you do XYZ, that's going to really hurt me. And that's going to cause this damage. And I'm going to have to do, all this to fix things. And so, if you could just, please don't do XYZ. And there's like, there's empathy there and understanding at a deep level. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I totally get it. I will not do XYZ. Whereas with a narcissist, yep, they're just words. And if you don't have a consequence to, follow what you just said, they don't care. And so, I mean, that's kind of like the point of this whole video. Let me just... Narcissists are like 3-year-olds. They do not understand requests or boundaries. They only understand consequences, and they must be enforced. You cannot bluff with a narcissist. A narcissist will test you. And so you have to be ready to follow through with that consequence. And only then will the narcissist, the same as a 3-year-old, be, oh, okay, they weren't bluffing. So I guess if I do XYZ, they'll not talk to me for like a week, or they'll reevaluate the relationship, or they'll stop going to movies with me, or something, something like that, like an actual consequence that they can feel. And again, it's like that really answers why narcissists do a lot of the crazy stuff that they do, because they can. I mean, and that's the crazy, and that's a both it's kind of a frightening thought that here you might have an adult, maybe with children, maybe in a marriage or something like that, going through the world as an adult, and their thought pattern is, I can get away with it, so it's not wrong. That's it. There's no moral compass stopping them. When they think of something that they want to do or they're considering doing, they don't think, okay, is this right or is this wrong? And to be clear, narcissists are not dumb. They do know right from wrong and good and evil. They do. They've learned those, from children. They know them. They know, those concepts as adults. It's just they don't have like the compass that kind of pulls that to them. It's like they can say, okay, here's the right decision, here's the wrong decision. But then they don't put themselves in either of those places. They kind of put themselves kind of floating in their own little space. Right, wrong, good, evil. Doesn't have anything to do with them. I mean, they understand it fine, but they're above that. And so when they go through the world and they do these really self-centered, selfish, sometimes, mean-spirited things, they're just doing it because their thought process is like, okay, I want that. Okay. And they go do it or they go take it. They don't think about anything other than the consequences. I mean, for example, they say, oh, like that's a nice car. They might not go and steal that car. But it's not because stealing the car would be wrong. It is because stealing the car would most likely get themselves caught, get themselves, in prison, in jail with a conviction, etc. So they're like, okay, I'm not going to do that. And it's not because it's wrong. It's because they don't like those consequences. That is what they see. They don't see good, bad, right, wrong. They see consequences. And that's how they operate out in the world, both and with work and also with people, in relationships. It is, okay, I want this, I don't want this, or I want this and this. It's just very, arbitrary, and their thinking process is, okay, I want both of these. What are the consequences? Consequences if I have both? What are the chances I'll get caught if I have both? That's it. Right or wrong. Oh, would this hurt my partner if I did this? Would it hurt my children if I did this? They don't care. It's not even on their radar. And that's one thing. I'll get more specific and personal because it a little bit more time and distance. But my ex-wife with her affairs, it's like she didn't care. It's like, okay, well, these are fun. I don't care about my partner, my husband. I don't care about the children. I don't care about what this may do to the family that we've built. They don't care. It's like, to them, it's like, okay, can I get away with it? And for a while she did. And for her, that was enough. And so, my goal here with making this video is I hope that it's helped with kind of clearing some of that confusion that I believe a lot of us have dealing with narcissists or coming out of that narcissistic fog, where you're still left scratching your head wondering, why did they do this? That makes no sense. Why would anyone do this? That is, that's illogical. And at the end of the day, it's because, well, a narcissist acts or says those things because they are a narcissist. Why do narcissists lie? Because they're a narcissist. And in this, in this case, it's like, why do the narcissists do these things? Because they can. If the consequences are not looming over them or obvious to them, then that's a green light for them. It's like, why not do it? So hopefully this video's helped you. Thanks.